You know, the man they called Jesus, Jesus the Christ, did 37 miracles that were recorded in the Bible. Of course, outside of the Bible, there are other things that are attributed to him as a miracle with no kind of documentation at all, or for that matter, with even witnesses. It's just kind of a hearsay thing. But let's talk about the 37 miracles that Jesus performed. Now, they could all fit into about 4 different groups. There was the healing of the physical body. There was the exorcism of the spiritual body, let's say. There was also the healing of mental problems and this type of thing, personality conflicts. And then the very last miracle was the raising of the dead, Lazarus from the dead. Now, this is the interesting thing. Jesus never, ever wanted to be worshipped. Jesus had no idea of fulfilling the Messiah role. That was not what he thought he was going to do. Jesus would say over and over, "It is the Father within that doeth the works." It's the Spirit within that doeth the works, not I. And he didn't want them to confuse the personality or the man. And yet in modern Christianity, that's exactly what has happened, is that they have worshiped the man. They're worshiping, and they're doing the one thing that even in the 10 Commandments say don't do. Make no idols, have no idolatry. You look at the pictures and the busts, that's an idol, that's the type of thing. But facts are facts. Now, a fact is a fact until it's proven not to be a fact. And that's what I like about science. They say they have a fact. For instance, let's take the atom. They proclaimed loudly and in paper after paper that the smallest thing in the world was the atom. Nothing would ever be smaller. And then they found out there were smaller things. Well, at first, those that wanted to cling to that just fought it tooth and nail. You couldn't believe there was anything wrong with their hypothesis, their theory, and that's exactly what everything is until it's proven different, is a theory. Even if it's first brought forth, it's a theory. And they would hang on to that. So science and religion have a lot in common, don't they? Let's take, for instance, the beginning of the world as we know it. It claims that, God created the heaven and the earth, the intelligent energy of God. The Word of God is what it says. He spoke the Word and things became. Well, science doesn't really have any argument with that. They say there was a Big Bang. I guess if there's a God and He's the entire universe, that would certainly be a pretty big bang. But the other thing is that science says, well, yeah, but the earth is billions and billions and billions of years old. And it must be. And we went through the dinosaur stage and all these different stages. Yes, we did. But you see, even in Genesis, it said, how do we measure days and how do we measure years? Well, they didn't have, for the first 4 days, there was no light. There was no sun rising and setting, and that's how we measure a day. And after that, then they had stars and moons and things. And you see, the point is that there was no time frame. No time frame for us to look at all. But the important thing that you've got to remember is Jesus always gave credit where credit was due. And that credit is the Father within. He doeth the works. It's God, not man. And you are everything in the small that God is in the large. Now, we already know that. Even to the way your body is constructed with cells, and they're constantly moving. You may think that you're a very solid object, but under the microscope you can see there's lots of space between the cells in your body, and you can also see that they're always moving. Is there any difference between that and the universe? It's always moving. And as I get older, I've found out for sure it's always expanding. I'm really expanding now. And I don't know about you, but I'd like to kind of just dwell on what is and not what's becoming, and especially not what has been. As you know, I've been attending different churches and kind of having a good time. And one thing I find is a common thread in the churches is they always talk about the past. What about the present? What about the future? The present makes the future. And that's where it is for you and I. Well, you heard my alarm, so I got to cut it off. But God bless you all, and thank you for letting me share a little of the little that I know with you today.